All business owners know what they do, but very few of them understand the functionality of what happens behind the business. And I'll give you just some insights to introduce a couple of our speakers who are coming up next. Only about 78% of business owners can read a set of financials.
What percent?
78% of people can't read their financials. 50% of Kiwis don't have a will. And so in my world, I'll just tell you a little story. You guys remember that boat that went down bottom of the South Island a wee while ago? That business got into financial hardship and the accountant reorganised that business and the wife became the director. So when that business sank, OSH have actually found her guilty of having an unsafe workplace. Right? So she's lost her house and she's going to be charged with manslaughter. Now, for the simple act of compliance, that could have all been resolved if her professionals worked with each other. The people dying on the boat, I don't think you could have saved that. But for the sake of $1,000 a year, you could have brought in someone who was a specialist in health and safety, and they could have actually had that process in place. The accountant could have communicated with the lawyer and said, listen, we're having to do this, and we could have put that house in trust. The life insurance policy could have also been held by the trustees of that trust, and it would have all been protected. And for the sake of a couple of grand of professionals working together and referring, all of that could have actually been solved. And so in our world, we're insurance brokers. So when we put our hand up in front of a group like this and say we're insurance brokers, we can clear the room as good as IRD. We have that effect. But after 20 odd years of walking into businesses, this is what we find. Very few of them have actually ever been through what we would call a 360 process and actually understood what their business actually does. From our perspective, all businesses revolve around the people that are in them. And yet 98% of the people that we see, their insurances look like a mess. It's not about spending more money, it's about understanding, taking out an insurance policy that works at claim time and paying the money to the right people. It's about protecting your cash flow, about protecting your revenue. And so in one very small sector in there, we actually operate. But if we don't communicate with the accountants on where the premium's coming from, how do they know how to structure it? Because if they claim it as a tax deduction, the proceeds will be taxed. If we don't communicate with the lawyers on the ownership, how do we know whether that policy is owned by the company, owned by the partners, or owned by the estate? You don't. And so in our world, we already know that 98% of the business owners that we see, they've got this stuff that looks like a mess. So today was the concept of introducing how do professionals start looking after the SME market properly, because they are the foundation of New Zealand's economy.